It was a crisp autumn day, and Heron and Thalia were exploring Big Oak Canyon with Thalia's grandma. They had spent the morning gathering acorns from an oak tree so large that it took two of them holding hands around its trunk to make a circle all the way around. Heron lifted the front of his shirt slightly to make a carrying pouch. He was moving fast and picking up every acorn that he found. His shirt pouch was so full that it started to bulge at the bottom, and when he bent down, acorns spilled out the sides. He looked at Thalia's basket with just a few acorns in it and laughed. "Ha! You're going to be here all day if you want to get enough acorns to make pancakes," he said. Thalia's basket looked empty in comparison with just a few acorns in it. So many of the acorns she looked at had little holes in them, so she put them back down and only gathered the acorns that looked perfect, just like her grandma told her to do when she was young. She had a pang of sadness and thought to herself, "Am I doing something wrong?" Her grandma noticed Thalia's worried face and asked, "What's wrong, my dear?" "Oh, Grandma, I just wish I was as fast as Heron. I'm sorry that it's taking me so long to collect these acorns." Thalia saw her grandmother glance at Heron's pouch and back to Thalia's basket. A sneaky smile lifted the corners of her grandmother's mouth, and a little laugh spilled out. "What are you smiling about, Grandma?" "You'll see her, my dear," her grandma said. So Grandma called Heron over to have him show her his bounty. Heron marched right over and boastfully spread a large pile of acorns out on the picnic blanket. "Look how many I got! This is enough to feed the whole family for a week of breakfasts." He turned to Thalia. "Don't worry, Thalia. I'll share some with you since your basket isn't—" But Grandma interrupted him and turned to her granddaughter, saying, "Thalia, now show me your acorns." Thalia took 2 handfuls of perfectly shaped acorns out of her basket and showed her grandma one at a time. As she turned each acorn around with her fingers, you could see that each one was perfect. "These are beautiful, my dear. Each one has a full shell, no blemishes, no holes, and no caps. This will make a half batch of acorn pancakes, and they will be delicious." For some reason, words like that from her grandma made Thalia's heart feel full, and the doubts of not being fast enough melted away. Turning back to Heron's pile, Grandma asked, "Heron, now separate them into 2 piles, one with holes and one with perfect shells." Heron stalled a moment. "What?" Then looked closely at his pile for the first time. He had been moving so quickly to gather them that he hadn't noticed if the acorns looked different from each other. Now that he was looking closely, his smile softened as he noticed how many of his acorns had holes in them or were cracked. Grandma moved towards his pile and helped him sort the acorns. "Heron, have you ever made acorn pancakes before?" she asked. "Yes, that time when I came over to your house and we used the acorn meal you had just leached." "Oh, that's right, I remember," she said. "But this must be your first time gathering acorns to use for baking," she asked. And he confirmed and hesitated, then said, "Yes, but I've gathered lots of acorns before, just for fun." "This is different," Grandma said. "Heron and Thalia, take 1 acorn from each of Heron's piles, one with holes and one without holes, and crack them open to see what's inside." So they each did, and Heron was very surprised when he realized that most of the acorns he had gathered had holes in them, and inside were wiggling white larvae crawling around with little pellets and some mold. "Gross!" he exclaimed. "Are we going to eat these?" Grandma laughed. "Well, you can eat the larvae, but we will need to toss the acorns with holes in them back onto the forest floor. When making acorn pancakes, we only use the perfectly whole acorns." "Huh. I'm sorry, Thalia, for saying you were slow. I guess there's more to harvesting than I thought," Heron said. Thalia looked at her friend and smiled. "Thank you, Heron. I forgive you. And look, We will have enough acorns for one batch of pancakes if we put both of our good piles together. So Heron put his 2 handfuls of perfect acorns into Thalia's basket. The next week, Grandma showed them how to crack, grind, and leach the acorns with running water. And when the water ran clear through the finished acorn meal, they mixed it into a batter and cooked up a delicious batch of pancakes. And if things haven't changed, they are still the same today.